You're very welcome to the Woman to Woman show here on Confident Women Ireland's YouTube channel with me, Roisin McClerick. Sometimes in this world that we live in, we just need a Gaelic meditation with Solfeggio frequencies and melodies to relax and connect to our souls with the voice of an angel. I am joined by Irish meditation singer, songwriter, and holistic coach Tanya O'Connor, who has the voice of an angel and angelic tones to heal our souls with angelic frequencies and vibrations to relax and re-energize us. Tanya O'Connor, you are so welcome to Confident Women Ireland's YouTube channel.
What an honour to be here in Dublin and to be connected with you, Roisin. It's an absolute honour. Thank you.
Well, we have been talking about this for a long time. I would say a good few years now. And because now you are living in the East Coast of America.
I am. I'm in Pennsylvania right now. Yeah.
But I'm doing...
No, I'm doing the Irish meditation out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how we connected.
Yeah, because I connected, I think it was during the lockdowns, I think I connected with your Instagram account. And at that time you were in Spain and you were flying back and forth. And I often, every day, I would just connect. And especially if I need to ground myself or connect to myself, I often just go in and click on your meditations. And it really just grounds me, centers me, and I go, I've got my frequency and vibrations, and it's re-energized me. So thank you for taking the time to come on today, especially when you're over on a holiday, taking the time out of your day and your holiday to come on and talk to us.
No, pleasure, absolute pleasure.
As I said in my intro, you sing in Irish and Gaelic, and the Solfeggio's frequencies and hertz. And you also work with the healing forks and the musical bowl.
That's right. I use a Tibetan singing bowl and I use a crystal heart bowl as well, and then the tuning forks. Really, because unlike humans, the bowls and the tuning forks don't get into bad moods. They hold their frequency. So if you have the frequency of joy in a tuning fork, it maintains that and doesn't fluctuate and go in and out depending on the mood of anybody else in the room. So it's very, very special when you play them. There's a way, like just like a surfer would surf the sea, you can surf the wave, and then melodies come, and then each person in the room also can simply jump onto that frequency, no matter how they might have been feeling before. It's not to deny that somebody might not be feeling good at times, because we all go through things, but to take that frequency and then surf and return back to what I believe is our true frequency is joy. It was what we originated from. And so that's really what I love to do, because I never really saw myself as somebody that might be able to bring some peace to this world when I was younger, because I had many challenges myself. But as you know, when you do take the time to deal with things that are disturbing you, and then you find some peace with that, and that past begins to turn to more wisdom, you begin to do things you never imagined. I always sang, but I never sang the way that I'm singing now. And to be that present, because, mostly you were singing somebody else's songs, or finding your own unique sound in this lifetime is probably the biggest success anybody could probably find in themselves, is to find what it is that belongs to you and then to share it to the world. And it really wasn't until the death of my father in 2016, when he departed, that I in fact shaved off the hair that I had, because I had blonde hair, and let the gray roots out, had a bald head, and literally began to sing with the frequencies in Irish. And it came together all by itself. Even the name, gaelicecho, I didn't make up the name. I was singing in Gaelic, and I was singing with my echo, and I was singing with the part that was between, and I began to feel such a peace. And then when people heard it, they felt such a peace, and I was like, wow, I've worked a whole lifetime and had so many educations. Here, right there, under your fingertip, was something I hadn't recognized, but it took, like what you're doing, the confidence in myself for it to be revealed.
Yes. And that's a
Like I
frequency
really
in
believe.
itself. Confidence is a frequency.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And I think more that people take the moments when they're uncomfortable in themselves and when they're challenged to find a way through that challenge so that it can eventually turn to wisdom, not that it can keep on repeating itself, repeating itself. We haven't learned the lesson when it keeps repeating.
Yes.
Because when you find that lesson, you find more peace. And I have found more peace, even with everything that's going on the planet. Not only with wars, but also like even in personal lives of people, billions of trillions of people on this planet. And yet I can experience peace. That's an extraordinary feat. To have peace of mind is really the
Yes.
newest form of wealth. Wouldn't you
Yes.
agree?
Oh, definitely. Because I would say through the last few years, and I would say it was probably the lockdowns. For me, it was the biggest gift, I was given, because I really reconnected to who I was. And I wasn't going to compromise on anything
Mm-hmm.
anymore. And I really, really connected to myself, reconnected everything to my values, my principles, my beliefs, my purpose, to my mindset, to my thoughts, my words
Yeah,
and my self-talk and the language. And you'll appreciate this, even down to the language, the vocabulary and words we use all have a frequency and a tone and a
yeah,
vibration.
they do. They
and
do. They
and
do.
our
They do.
self-talk, and how we talk
Yeah.
to ourselves. And so I really just took that time just to really reconnect to me. and um
Mm-hmm.
and even being alone, I didn't feel lonely because I had connected to
Mm.
me. And
Yeah.
that was the
Yeah.
gift I got out of
Mm-hmm.
all the 2020, was that gift.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. Because I remember feeling the same way too. I remember feeling like, wow, this is not a punishment. This is an opportunity to
Yes.
actually have the time to connect
Yeah.
with the universe that's within us all. Because the fact is, I'm looking at you and you're looking at me, and we see a human form,
Yeah.
but we're billions of particles of stars and universes all made up into a human form. And not to be blind to the fact that I'm much more than a human body. I'm just in a human body. I'm merely in it, actually.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
We're energy in a human
Yeah.
body. We're not a body with energy. We are
That's
energy
right. That's right.
in a
That's right.
body,
That's right.
in the form of a
Yeah,
human
and
body.
remembering that is the greatest companion, because that's not one that leaves you even when you're about to leave your body on the planet. It has the most incredible presence and comforting presence that doesn't abandon you at any time. Once you
No.
find that part within, you can never feel lonely like you once felt lonely in the
Yes.
world. Even when you were around billions of people or in a room with lots
Yeah.
of people, you can still feel lonely if you don't have that feeling.
And it's also where you have, I think I really connected with a lot of my like-minded people again from 2020 onwards. I met you online. I met so many other people online.
Mm-hmm.
And I came from
Mm-hmm.
local radio, which is mainstream media. And when I
Mm-hmm.
was studying my media and PR degree, I said, "Oh, no interest in social media, absolutely none."
Yeah.
And now, then in
Mm-hmm.
2022, I left local radio, mainstream media, and transitioned onto YouTube, which I never thought that would be possible. And I think that's because I met so many people like
Yeah.
you
Yeah. Yeah.
online during
Yeah.
the lockdowns, which to me was the
Mm-hmm.
biggest gift. So thank you for
Yeah.
that. Thank you for being there too, because when I listen to you, and your singing and your music, I feel as if I've gone back to ancient times, and that connecting with the soul, with your
It's
music and your
true.
singing.
Yeah, it's true. It does that to me too when I'm doing it, to be very honest. It's just as healing for me as a human being to sing as it is for the people in the room that are listening, because it's different than just getting up and singing a song as in a performance. I'm actually singing my emotions and my connection to something very, very, very ancient that is such an extraordinary feeling. And that leaves me always like as if I refreshed, like I can't believe it's the most extraordinary feeling. And initially, when I started this, I really wasn't sure how do I do this? Where do I take this? How do I take form? And a very beautiful lady in Pennsylvania, like yourself, had heard of me and asked me to come by and meet with her husband. And they sat me both down and asked me what I'd done in my life. And I told them, that I'd been to school, a college in Ireland, to Holistic College, and I'd done music and da 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 da. And they listened and they said, yeah, but we've heard you sing. I think what you need to do is just to sing and put all these wonderful ancient things that you've done into your voice and a performance, and let me bring a few people together. And that's how it began. And I
Wow.
just sang for, it was a very small venue because it's like a little carriage house in Pennsylvania. And there was, I think, 8 people in total. And you wouldn't have heard a pin drop. And even in the experience, I wouldn't even call it performance, in the experience of doing it, I was so moved by my own greatness. And I think it makes it's something to remember. We all have something so incredibly great inside of us, and when it comes up and you're actually in the experience of it, which I was, I almost could, at times couldn't swallow. I was like, this is so big. There's
Yeah.
something so big in who we all are. It wasn't just me singing in a room. I'm singing together with other people who were totally present, not distracted. There's something that begins to happen where our own greatness starts to reveal. And when it does, it can sometimes frighten us,
Yeah.
because we thought it had to be what we did in school, or what we don't recognize the form, perhaps, uh, because it's so unique, and it's like your fingerprint. You're the only one with it. And if anything, I hope as I go forward doing this music, that it perhaps would release that more in other people, because that's what it releases in me. For more and more people to find their own blueprint, their own unique brand on who they are, that is absolutely unlike anybody else, because it's simply who you are, just
Yeah.
like your fingerprint. It
Yeah.
can't be duplicated.
No.
Because I think lack of confidence has a tendency to cause us to duplicate, to
Yes.
replicate, to repeat. Confidence, on the other hand, as it is absorbed and you go through your life, it begins to reveal particles and pieces of you that you didn't even notice before.
No. And it's a
And there's
purpose.
great beauty in that.
Yeah, and it's just I found, especially since the 2020 lockdowns, I see that as a time, not as you said, it wasn't a punishment. It was a time for us all.
Mm.
Like how many of us we actually started to hear the birds again. We spent
Yeah,
quality
yeah, yeah,
time getting out to
yeah.
nature. We valued nature and countryside like never before.
That's right. That's right. That's
We
right.
valued
Yeah,
that time.
yeah, I agree. And I think at one time I remember saying to somebody, I think it's free therapy. I know some people might be losing it, but it's free therapy. You
Yeah,
have an opportunity to be within your home and either go through and find a better way to live together and help each other and appreciate each other, or discover that you simply can't live there and you
yeah,
can't be with those people anymore. So for many,
exactly.
many families broke up, many businesses collapsed, but out of that, many people also went from you know, very little to an awful lot. It was
Yeah.
extraordinary shift. But personally, for me, I felt like an enormous freedom to go forward with what I was doing with music, and to continually embrace more courage and bravery to stay in the arena and continue doing it, even if people laughed at me, even if people, I don't know, you know, what are you doing, or you couldn't explain it. I simply said, I moved to sing this way, and I
Yes.
moved by what I hear, and I moved by remembering that one day I was not a body, I entered a body, and the shapelessness of that spirit definitely knows all these tunes and just delivers them, and then I have to learn them as a human afterwards because you know, it's different if you sit down and write a song, and I have done some like that, but when they come this way, it truly feels like it was already pre-written, and I have to accept that and just embrace it, you know. And so it took time. It took time to really be brave to do that and go beyond. Just like the birds, they don't be worrying about the other bird is singing out
No.
there. They just sing. And so it's taken me time to get to that place where you just sing. Don't have to be worrying about what anybody else is doing or
No.
anybody else is thinking about it. Just be a bird and sing a tune and deliver your tune, and whoever hears it, and that's who was meant to hear it, and
Yeah.
on we go. Because of people like yourself here in Ireland, I feel like birds of a feather flock together, and that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
You've created a platform for birds to gather, and the more together everybody is in that way, I think the more entertainment it is in some ways for everybody else to see, wow, the brightness of what's taking place for each one of us, because everybody brings something different, don't they?
We
Everybody.
do. Because we're all unique. And you know what? We all have different skills, different areas of
Hmm.
expertise. We also all have a different purpose and a different message in the whole
Yeah.
jigsaw to build that picture.
Hmm.
It could be just
Hmm.
one piece of the jigsaw. We all might just bring
Hmm.
one. Some people might bring two or three. But even that one piece of that jigsaw is the
Hmm.
important part to paint the picture
Yeah, that's true. That's
and
true.
deliver the
And it's funny, you
message.
know, that's true. That's very true. That's very true. Yeah, and I think there's been for a long time as well, like people trying to find their purpose and having difficulty with finding their purpose. And in the last, I think, is really in the last 6 months, I've said to a few people, maybe stop worrying about what your purpose is, and then ask yourself, what's your divine
Yeah.
purpose? I said,
Yeah.
that's a step above, because, you know, the purpose to be on the earth is to be kind, really, and to help one another. That's pretty simple. And whatever job you're going to do, just do that with your heart and soul. But your divine purpose has has is something different. I've discovered. I feel like it's that's when when I began to sing, I realized that was my divine purpose. I had always been doing something holistic where I was helping and caring for people, but my divine purpose was to sing. It was to sing because that was the most uncomfortable to do. It was the most revealing. It took the most courage. And I think our divine purpose takes more courage to get in front of a screen.
Yeah.
People wouldn't probably think looking at you or me. I don't know how it was for you, but I know for me to sit in front of a screen, I
Oh,
squirmed
awful.
on my pants so badly that I simply couldn't do it. And now I couldn't give a monkey's. I'm delighted to get on the screen. I'm delighted to be in front of another human being who wants to connect, who wants to be united, who wants to continue uniting and bring more people together.
Yes.
I've lost that sense of being self-conscious about that because I
Yeah.
realize it's not necessary. It's not necessary to my spirit. It
No.
might still be necessary at times to my humanness, but not enough to stop me anymore.
No, because if you were looking at me now, you wouldn't know that I wasn't able to speak until I was 5. I went to
Right,
speech therapy until I was 30, and I had 2
right.
children. And
Yeah.
when I was born, I had a cleft palate, and
Hmm.
I had a cleft palate, but I also had the lips. I had no nose. I had no lips.
Oh,
I just had a big hole. It's all been
yeah,
rebuilt from when I was a child. But I always had a speech impediment. And
yeah,
then
yeah,
when I came up with the radio formats, I said, no, I won't. I'll be the producer. I won't be the radio presenter because of my speech
yeah,
impediment.
yeah,
I really had
yeah.
a bad one. And
Mm-hmm.
then the presenter left after 2 weeks and I had to fill the shoot. And I was like, hello, my name is Roisin de Klerk. You're very welcome to the woman show. I would love to hear the very first one again, but that's how I sounded because I remember hearing it.
Yeah,
Hello?
yeah,
And I remember the day, it was October, October 19. I was interviewing someone on the phone. And
Mm-hmm.
in that moment, I heard myself in that present moment by the tone of my voice. I had no clutter, no nothing, not even worried
Mm-hmm.
about everything else that was going on. And I said, oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, in my head, I said, oh my God, I'm in the present moment. And I could hear the tone of
Mm-hmm.
my voice being in that present moment. And a couple of people
Mm-hmm.
contacted me and said, Roisin, what happened? You sound different. I said, nothing. I just connected to the present moment. And
Yeah, yeah,
then, and I hated, I remember when I used to do editing and even pre-records, I hated the sound of my voice. I still cannot
yeah.
listen to my voice. And I still, then now
Mm-hmm.
I used to joke, I went from radio where I couldn't listen to my voice. Now I've gone to visual on Zoom where not only do I have to listen to my voice, I have to look at myself. And that was very
I
uncomfortable.
know, I know, I know.
And now
The
it's like,
abominable snowman.
and I go, and you're not self-critical. Oh, I've got a double chin. Oh, I've got this. And you know
I
what? I remember
know.
saying, I am a spiritual being in a human body. And it's the
Yeah,
challenges
yeah,
that like we were discussed earlier, the challenges I overcame to be where I am today. That resilience
yeah, yeah.
that comes with that
Yes, yes,
confidence
yes,
and wisdom.
yeah, yeah. And because of that frequency, that and the courage and that journey that you took along with my journey, I think when other people then hear,
Yes.
it's easier to begin to feel they can enter that because we've traveled it. We've come that way and we're not going to hold back. We're not going to hold back. No matter what I feel about myself, I could have say lots of stories about my own journey too. And the truth is, here we are today, both of us. We're not squirming in our pants.
No.
We're delighted to connect. And I'm not disgusted by the visual
No.
part of seeing myself because there's something to go beyond what you think you're seeing. Go beyond my personality, my physicality. Keep going beyond, beyond, beyond. And when you get to the beyond, that's where I'll meet you because that's where I really came from. This isn't the beginning and the end. This is literally a merely a vision that very quickly can is moving in every second that we're even talking and can just evaporate so fast.
And when you
But
think
that
about it,
frequency,
yeah, when you think
go
about
on,
it,
go on.
the frequency and the vibrations and energy of women our age is very crucial now, I think, in this time on this earth,
Yeah,
planet.
yeah,
Because the younger
yeah.
generation, they have no self-confidence. They have no confidence. It's all fake confidence, and it's all the fake manufactured marketing of the now I know we all use social media, but it's that fake Instagram lifestyle where they have to have the perfect body, have the perfect life, and that is not that is it's all
Mm-hmm.
fake and it's all marketed from big
Yeah,
corporations. They don't know who they are anymore,
yeah.
and there's so much mental health issues as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, that's very true. It's very, very true. Yeah. I think as a grandmother now, I've got four grandchildren
Ah,
and
lovely.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I feel I'm creating some melodies at the moment that I began to hear. One of them one was from Mary Poppins, where she talks about that there's an element of fun in every job that needs to be done.
Yes.
And when you find the fun, snap, the job is done. And I realized, wow, oh, that would have been great if I had been brought up thinking like that. How differently it would have been if I looked at every job and found an element of fun. And then I thought, well, heck, I'll just incorporate that now
Yes.
into my life personally, that any job that I particularly don't like to do, whatever it might be, that I will challenge myself to find the element of fun in this. And lo and behold, again, that it reconnects you to that frequency of joy, which I believe we originally were. So constantly finding ways to stay on that surfboard of joy, and then to bring it to the children. That any little job, like for example, let's say cleanup, always a little resistance to cleanup, and finding the fun way to encourage them to find how that could be fun.
Yes.
And that's a massive educational tool. I mean, it's already been proven scientifically that when you find the fun in what you're doing, you're going to learn quicker and better and remember better. So, like, it's already proven, but to make it a lifestyle, to make it a moment. So then I decided I would sing. My granddaughter in Spain is Spanish. I thought, okay, I've just got it translated now to Spanish. And I want to sing that melody to the children because, bit like the old Pied Piper, I feel like it's time to sing people home, because sometimes conversations, although they're very good, sometimes the mind wants to argue and be right, because as humans, we have a very strong desire to want to be right. And I feel even that needs to be shifted, that being close is more important than being right.
Yeah.
And teaching our children that, oh, no, you didn't say that right. This is the right way to say it. Look, at the end of the day, being close to them is more important than being right. There's certain times where being right is important, but it's never more important than being right.
Wow.
And finding the element and fun in life, in every single, and if it's going on the bus. I mean, people might laugh at me and think, geez, I still find the people to talk to at the bus stop, and I travel by the bus. I could get a taxi. I want to meet the people. I want to be on the ground. I want to be here in everything that it is. And the little people you meet along your way, and how quickly just a conversation or a few lines can help that person also remember to have a bit of joy. Because I remember people to me, always keep something beautiful at the front of your mind. You might be going to do something really challenging that might even scare you, but always keep one beautiful thing at the front of your mind. And somehow it's like that dangling carrot. It helps you to keep going, and just those little conversations with people, for me, they make my day. For me, they make my journey to Ireland, I don't know, worth it. Because sometimes you talk to somebody all the way on the bus, and by the time you get into town, you know all their life. They get off and you never see them again. And I think that's a very Irish thing. I think it's sometimes kind of made people in America a little bit uncomfortable with me, because they'd be like, why do you want to know all these things? You want to know my bank account details? And I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm just curious. I'm just a curious person, and I just want to connect, But here I realize I don't get that reaction. I still, till this day, it hasn't gone away.
Yeah,
and it makes me happy. It makes me happy.
Yeah. And if you didn't talk, Tanya, people will go, "What's wrong with you? You're not talking."
Yeah.
Even if we walk past someone in the street, we say hello. Or if we're sitting, as you say, on the bus stop, I get on the bus stop, we're talking. We start off about the weather, or we start off with something, and then we continue that conversation. We sit beside them, and anyone sitting beside us, we start having a conversation. We're talking. And do you think too, then, because you sing in Gaelic, you sing in Irish, and it really does have that ancient angelic sound and feeling, frequency, vibration, and energy that creates that chemical reaction of calmness and stillness and present moment. Like, when you're singing, do you feel that as well? as what you as the feeling and experience that you're giving to other people.
I do. And there's one particular tune I wrote for both my father and my mother, even though there was many traumas in that experience growing up. And when I sing those tunes in the event, there's times where I will let people know ahead of time. I'm not sure if I'll burst into tears here, or I'm not sure what might take place. I might get all the way through till the end, but I'm going to keep singing the tune regardless. So present moment, anything can happen, anything, and not being afraid of what might surface in that
Yeah.
moment when I'm singing with people. Because for me, that moment of singing for people is like a million therapy sessions in one, because you have to completely unzip yourself to reveal so much emotion. I've always been an intensely emotional person. And now I finally have somewhere I can take it that it doesn't do damage. And it actually produced calmness.
Yes.
I'm like, it's like, oh my God, what a journey to take. What one time I would have said was my personality, I feel like now it's a gift that I feel so much. It's not like there's something wrong with me. I'm sure many people could relate to that here now. There's something wrong with you. You feel too much. There's something wrong with you. Now I feel like singing for people, there's nothing wrong. It's just simply connecting to the depth of how they're feeling too. And sometimes people have come because they have been grieving a lost one, or a breakup, or whatever other personal thing they're not wanting to share. But each person might be something different. And in the process of my willingness to let go and be vulnerable, because it takes so much courage to sing like that to people. No, sometimes my knees will be knocking and I'm still going to keep going. And that courage seems to release some inner connection inside people that they
Yeah.
can let go. That gripping on, that holding, which keeps the heaviness in our bodies, it just lets go, and that's it. The lightness starts to come through their own form in their unique way, you know. So most definitely it's a healing experience for me and for people. But it's definitely now a part of my journey whilst I remain on this planet, is to do this, because I need it. I need to absolutely enter that space that can sometimes terrify me, and all at the same time it's exhilarating.
Yeah.
Terrifyingly wonderful. That's what it feels like when I have to do these events. On the one hand, the one part of you is wanting to back up. On the other hand, you're wanting to go straight in. And I think really, as the time goes on, it gets less, because the human part, which has a way of holding us back,
Mm.
spirit, the inner spirit and wisdom, it doesn't have any confinements. It doesn't exist. It doesn't have any labels.
No. It's
Only the human
freedom.
world has that, you know. So I think the more everybody can delight in that freedom, and music, as you know, has a way of going through cast iron. It just penetrates much deeper than a conversation can sometimes.
Because it
It
is a
just has a way
frequency.
of entering.
It's sound frequency and
Yeah.
vibration that connects to everyone at a cellular level.
Correct. Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah. I mean, literally, I can feel, and people have even said, there's a lady back in Pennsylvania that comes to the events all the time, and she begins to see codes when I'm singing, and she's writing down all the codes that are
Wow.
coming to her. This light language, she calls it, and it comes very strong on certain frequencies. And that's what I'm talking about, this uniqueness. Like, these codes become strengthened when she hears the frequency. Okay. So obviously she wants to return, because it's releasing that unique aspect of her, that she was a nurse, a practitioner in a very, pharmaceutical background, and suddenly, finishes all of that and ends up beginning to see symbols. And then when she was around certain frequencies, they came stronger. And each person's something different.
Yeah.
But
I
I
see
truly
color.
believe that,
I
It's,
see color,
you know,
Tanya.
do you? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And orbs and what else do you see?
Orbs, color, uh, orbs, color, and I would say I can see, it's like what I see in is I see color, I see orbs. I also see it like waves in different colors with different people. I see people, I can see, and then the auras around people.
Beautiful,
When
beautiful,
they,
beautiful.
and I go,
It's
okay, they're
interesting.
having a negative thought, a positive thought, or they're feeling down, and it's in the aura. Do you remember years ago the Ready Breath? It used to be the Ready Breath ad, and I said, oh look, they've got it too. So I thought everybody could see the auras around people, but so, and I would uh see I see color, and then you see the orbs, and then you would see like it's like waves of frequency,
Yeah,
different colors.
yeah, yeah, because that's so amazing. Because, do you ever remember John O'Donoghue, who wrote Anam Cara, Soul Friend?
Yes.
Amazing author. And he said, do you know what? He said, nobody has ever been taken into hospital and they opened their brain and found a nest of thoughts. He said, have you ever thought about it? He said, there's no nest in your head with thoughts. And I thought it was a good statement because they aren't a bunch of little things sitting in a nest. They are, like you said, like frequencies. And just that, like that lady in the events, she sees the frequencies and then they take shape into symbols. And those
Right.
symbols to her are the new energy or language that's coming in. And again, not recognizable to most people, but these are coming through people each time at the events in different forms, some in color, some in shapes, some in wanting to sing themselves, to come forward to sing because they were so afraid. So my own courage to do something in that presence is helping another person to say, even though I'm afraid, I'm going to step forward and learn from my fears and let them lead me to wisdom, as opposed to letting them lead me to go home and not to sing
Yeah.
today or not to do something. Allowing your fears to lead you to wisdom and power is a lot more powerful. And having people like yourself and people in Ireland that, that can hear you the way that you're feeling as well. I think it's a comfort in the human form to speak to somebody like you, because I just feel just so natural to be who I am. I don't feel like there's anything I have to hide or anything I
Yeah.
have to prove. Do you know what I mean? And that's a lovely feeling.
And it's a lovely
It's a
feeling.
very,
And as you said, the feeling is a frequency, vibration, and energy. And that creates a
yeah,
chemical reaction, and then the domino effect of that chemical reaction. And
yeah,
everyone has a purpose. Everyone brings something to the table to help
yeah.
humanity, especially in the
Hmm.
times that we're in. And, I think that's too why, creating because I did notice, when in the media, it's all a clique, the same people, the same groups, the same networks. And
Hmm.
whereas my radio show, I went for the people who never ever gone on radio before.
Yeah,
They were
yeah,
they were
yeah,
my guests. And
yeah.
I'm doing so I've just transitioned this now onto
Hmm.
YouTube. And to me it's a gift to be able to for me it's a gift for me to be able to use my different skills. Because like
Hmm.
my media skills will be completely different to my holistic skills and my coaching. And yet
Yeah.
for me it's a really good, unique skill. For me it's a gift to be able to combine them and be able to
Hmm.
create something. I never knew that I knew when I was younger I was creative, but then I
Hmm.
forgot that. So I used to be
Yeah,
really good at
yeah,
art and color. I'm
yeah.
very visual. And it wasn't until I was in my 40s that I realized,
Hmm.
oh my God, I am a creative person.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
And it's about
yeah.
creativity. It's an amazing
Hmm.
gift. And we
Hmm.
are
And
all creative.
you've done something so extraordinary as well with your voice, because just paying attention to really listening to you, you have a beautiful voice and you have beautiful tones in your voice. And
Thank
to
you.
think one day that, it was so difficult for you, and then to hear you now, it's very musical to my ear. I was even curious, when we get together another time, it would be interesting to have you even hum with some of the frequencies when you hear a tuning fork, and for you to jump on that frequency and
Ah.
to strengthen that ability a little bit more in your throat, because you have come so far to be sitting here today. You deserve a standing ovation to have gotten as far as you have. No, but it's true. It's true. It's true. It took so much courage for you to keep going to be where you are today. Oops.
And I think, thank you for saying that. I appreciate you saying that. See, that's another thing we Irish have to get over. We have to be able to accept compliments and with
Yes, to receive
gratitude,
them. Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
in gratitude in the purpose and intention which they're given. So
Yeah.
my higher self is saying thank you so much,
You're
and
very
I,
welcome. You're very
Roisin,
welcome.
I am. Because if you had heard me speak years ago, you probably would have, you wouldn't have understood me. It was,
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
bad. And it took
Mm-hmm.
a lot of work. And I suppose I have to thank my mother for that. My mother, even when we lived in Africa, she went and sought
Mm-hmm.
a speech therapist and found one.
Yeah.
And she was
Oh,
an
that's so good.
American, and then,
Yeah.
so, and when we lived in England, she had to fight as well. And then in the north,
Mm-hmm.
there was lots of speech therapists in Derry. And so I have to thank my mother for that. Even like
Mm-hmm.
the issues I had with my mother, she was still a mother. It's like what you said with your
I
mother
know.
and
I
father.
know. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's actually recently I've been actually thinking back about my two parents. Like
Mm-hmm.
you said, and just knowing that they loved me unconditionally, that
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
and the healing. And so thank you for saying that, because that's what this channel is about. It's about connecting
Mm-hmm.
people to say exactly what it is in the tin, Confident Women Island. It's about
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
bringing on women with wisdom, knowledge, and experience, and just like you, in sharing
Mm-hmm.
stories and helping other women
Mm-hmm.
in
Yeah.
Ireland and abroad. That's so
Yeah.
thank you for
To
that.
come forward, yeah, to know the people you're not on your own.
Yes,
That there's a space, uh, yeah, to shine, and to
yeah,
shine your light, and to discover something of yourself
yeah,
that you never discovered in a book.
yeah. And we're
You
not,
know,
it's not manufactured. It's not manufactured
not
or
manufactured,
marketing to sell
absolutely.
something. As you
Mhm.
said earlier on, it's about, I think now since 2020, it's about everyone reconnecting to themselves, letting go
Yeah.
of all this big corporate selling, marketing, manufacturing.
Mhm.
It's about really being real and being
Mhm.
connected. Because I think
Yeah.
through an awful lot of television, marketing, adverts, selling, it was, to me,
Mhm.
it really was really influencing, knowing, doing media studies, how media works, the power of media,
Yeah.
the power of the message. That was really telling people to disconnect from themselves.
Yes, completely, completely. Yeah. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think
It's
since
true.
2020, everybody might say, oh, it was terrible. To me, it was the biggest gift, because I think that's where an awful lot of people reconnected.
Yeah, it's very true. It's very true. Yeah. Yeah.
And your
And to
music,
remember, yeah, it is. No, it is. And to remember, even in the times we're living in, how there's so much to be grateful for.
yeah.
And when I got here the first day, I was at Farm Lee, and there was
Oh, yes.
lots of sun that day in between some clouds. And I took some time to fall into a few flowers that were full of bumblebees. And I took some pictures of the bumblebees, and they were rolling and rolling and rolling around the pollen. And you literally, under the camera lens, the bumblebee had little fragments of pollen over their entire bodies. And for me, when I talk about gratitude to people now in my life, it was something I had to um, fully experience to live life through gratitude.
Yes.
You have to look like a bumblebee with lots of pollen on you, because there's so much to be grateful for, so much. And when you begin to experience that, there's a wealth of peace.
Yes.
Peace of mind is like so underrated. It is literally the crown jewel. It's everything. It's not rest in peace when you're finally kicked the bucket. It's having peace
Yeah.
now in your own mind and in your soul. And gratitude, again, massive research has gone behind it. I don't personally need the research to
No.
assure me of something, but I know many people do. And so if they need it, they could certainly look it up. But the frequency of gratitude,
Yes.
um, even in the worst of moments, there is something to be grateful for. It's extraordinary. And I don't know, this is another thing I just love singing to, is that frequency of gratitude, because for anybody who was forced, like many of us were forced to say thank you when we were kids, say thank you now, say thank you, now be grateful, now be grateful. We didn't really get a chance to actually
Yeah.
experience how grateful for we were. We were very quickly instructed that was how we were to behave. And I think it deadened gratitude for a lot of us, because otherwise it would be a very natural trait and everybody would be able to experience it at the drop of a hat. But for most people, that's not the case. We have
Yeah.
to relearn what that actual experience is. But the practice of it is worth its weight in gold,
Yes.
because it's incredibly transformational, to where, yeah, you might be looking at a bumblebee like I was in a plant, literally like Alice in Wonderland, falling down inside that plant. He was inside an artichoke plant, so it was a really big head.
Oh,
And just watching him rolling around, rolling. I mean, I never seen anything like it. Looked like a playground, and I realized that's really our true state. I just got to remind myself, and remembering looking at him, I could embrace it. Do you know what I'm trying to say? There wasn't that resistance to letting that being into my being, no matter what my culture has brought. It's okay for the past to be turned into wisdom.
yes.
It doesn't have to remain a misery.
We're not our past.
It truly can.
We are not our
Yes.
past.
Yeah.
And it's about
Mm-hmm.
we can either stay in the trauma of the past, which a lot of the marketing now is all about trauma and and the trauma and trauma and trauma. So they're telling people to stay in that trauma and be
Mm-hmm.
empathic and staying and say, yes, we need empathy, but we also need compassion. We also need to know that we need to get out of any past traumatic experience and move forward. That's the gift, not staying in the past. We are not
Yeah.
our past. We
Yeah.
cannot,
Mhm.
have to be in
Yeah.
the present to give that gift in the future to other people.
Yeah, that's so true. Not being a prisoner to the past. And the truth was, I was a prisoner to the past.
So was
There's
I.
no
Yeah.
point in me saying that I wasn't. I was for a long time, for a long time. But I'm no longer a prisoner of the past. The only thing that consumes me more is this present moment, being here in every moment
Yes.
and doing my best to listen without trying to create a response, listening, not at the same time thinking, oh, what am I going to say to what that person is saying, just listening, and
Yes.
that's it, so that each person can be heard. And then in return, I experience being more heard myself, because you can't expect a gift if you're not giving that gift. And the gift of being heard, I don't know who doesn't want that gift. It's a very invaluable gift. One of the greatest gifts my grandchildren have given me. It's a bit of a tearjerker, but they gave me the entire experience of knowing that I was irreplaceable. And the truth is, I didn't physically, emotionally, mentally know that feeling until I had my grandchildren. And to know that feeling and to feel that feeling, you cannot feel that and not feel some tears come to your eyes. It just comes to your eyes. It just comes to your whole being, to know you're irreplaceable. So if there's anything I wish throughout the music that I'm doing, is that I will also transfer that frequency, that each person that enters the room will leave knowing they are irreplaceable. Not because of what they do or don't do, they just are. Because to leave this world not knowing that is really a sad, sad thing, because each one of us were made like some phenomenal Michelangelo masterpiece. And then to leave, not knowing that, is very sad. Very sad.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's why I'm happy to connect with you here, and was so delighted that you could take the time too. And that going forward, perhaps, down the
Yeah.
line, doing a retreat or whatever it is that's going to come together, because I just want to bring more peace. I want to create more moments to moments, that I'm transforming anything that doesn't feel good back into a frequency that does feel good. I'm not denying what isn't feeling good. Like somebody says, oh, you're just positive all the time. Like,
No.
absolutely not. In the moment, if something
No.
crap comes up, it comes
Yes.
up. But I take the moment to face that crap, listen to it, figure it out if I can, or at least get the lesson in it,
Yes.
and then return to joy.
And I think when you're in that present moment, you see the bigger picture.
Yeah, yeah, you do, you do. And also, pain is not as painful when you're present. Pain
No.
persists when there's resistance to being present, and that's really true. I think Eckhart Tolle talks about that a lot in his teachings, and it's so true. When I practice that, if there's something painful, if I'm present with it, it dissolves like a piece of tissue in tissue paper in water. Whereas if I'm resisting it, avoiding it, it's not okay. It's any of those things. It persists. It's like you're putting it in a backpack and you're carrying it around with you. Instead of simply opening that backpack, getting it out. Well, John O'Donnell used to say, well, if these kind of things visit you, why don't you open the door? Tell them, come on in, have a seat, sit down, and I'll give you a cup of tea now. Will you tell me why you're here?
That's
And
good.
wait till they deliver their message before you start chasing them out the door. Let them deliver it, listen to it without any responding, just really listen, and pay attention, because things visit for a reason.
Wow. Yeah.
They really, really do visit for a reason. And to have the courage, even if it feels scary in that moment with whatever is visiting, to say, well, you are visiting, you are here. I won't deny you the fact that you're trying to be present, but I'll face you. And in that moment of facing the things, my gosh, what a difference.
Yes.
Nothing is quite the same when you're present. And it takes courage to be present,
It
as you
does.
know. It does take courage. And it does take, I think, walking through some past moments to, I don't think if your past didn't feel very safe, you'll do anything not to be present.
Wow.
It's
That's a
sad to
massive
say that,
statement.
but I felt that way. I had felt that way. Because I didn't feel safe as a child, and I couldn't understand. I knew the science about presence, but I realized for many years, why am I not just naturally feeling present? Why is this something I have to work at? Why is this I have to do a meditation for? Why is this just not natural? And then I realized I had learned that too many moments weren't safe. So I somehow recognized the moments as not being safe. And in my language as a child, present wasn't a word I even heard much, to be present. I don't even recall anybody saying it. I just remember how each moment felt. And somehow I catalyzed them in my body, in my nervous system, as not being safe, which then later rendered every moment also not being safe. Even though it might have been safe, it wasn't feeling safe. So I had to do some work within myself on both hemispheres of the brain, because one side's more emotional and one side's more logical, until I no longer believe that way, that I am safe. It is safe for me to be present. And as I began to embrace that, and the music, what a difference. That was when the greatness began to come, the feeling of like, oh my God, this is overwhelming to be so present. This is so huge. My gosh, how was I missing this all my life? Where was I? Where was I? Was anywhere but here. And I think many people can relate to that, being anywhere but here,
Yes.
because it mightn't be safe to do so. But I think it's good to realize that that might not be true. Even though the body's saying that, it's usually from a past experience, and the emotional system agreeing to a past experience, and it not knowing it no longer is happening. It's still thinks it's taking place in the nervous system. Do you know what I mean? Like on repeat
And that's
until
that
you deal with
chemical,
it.
yeah, that is that chemical reaction from the thought, from the frequency and vibrations of the wording and the
Yeah,
thoughts, and then the chemical reaction within the feeling within the body and the
yeah,
vibration, the frequencies.
yeah. It is. It
Yeah.
is. It is.
Into
And
the experience and the reality.
mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And what a
Wow,
difference when you
Tanya.
know, because we realize there's only a very fine line separating us between heaven and paradise, and that's presence.
Yeah.
That's one of the lines in my song, because somebody wrote that to me when they heard me singing, and I thought, wow, there was a time where I didn't believe that I was really, my singing was taking people between the line between heaven and paradise. I was like, I'm doing that? No, me? I'm doing that? That's not possible. You know, I couldn't, I thought it was wonderful. I thought it was wow, but me, I was doing that? No, you know. So it took me a lot of time to really realize, wow, people were having these experiences. And I also had to embrace that bigness, not get cocky or sort of highfalutin about it, but embrace it because
And
it's
connect
real.
to it. And connect to
Yeah,
it.
connect to it, connect to it. Yeah, exactly. Really connect to it, not somehow negate it because I was finding that like maybe they weren't telling the truth or whatever, you know, and realizing no, too many people have said that now. Now I know it's a very sacred experience. Sacred. It's not, and I think that's why the events are, I usually do them in small groups because there's something about small groups where
Yes.
people come out of themselves, a bit like old times in Ireland, small groups around the fireplace chatting. It wouldn't have been hundreds of thousands, small groups really connecting, another small group really connecting, and then interchanging those small groups, even in retreats, I think is far more successful than having everybody all in one room.
Yes.
It's easy for people to feel that they're replaceable in that way. Most important is that every single person leaves it with some sense of being irreplaceable in a way they never felt before, would be the biggest, you know, comeback for people from doing a retreat. And I do think the smaller the venues, the
Yeah.
more intimate they are.
And I think too,
Yeah.
it's that connection to your soul, to your spirit, and knowing that you are a spiritual being in a human body. And
Yeah.
it's that connection. And once you have that connection, you're connected to your intuition, and you can never go far wrong if you listen to that navigation tool and that blueprint and that roadmap of your intuition.
It's very true. Very
You
true.
have that
Very true.
natural bravery and courage. You don't know where it's coming from. You don't know
Mhm.
how courageous and brave you might have to be, but you know that you have
Mhm.
those tools, skills, and techniques, and trust within yourself to get over any
Yeah,
obstacle.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
And that's a
yeah, yeah.
frequency and vibration as well.
It is, it is, it is, it is. I mean, I really do believe that the future medicine will be frequency,
I
will be
do.
frequency, because I know for myself, even in my 60s now, I've not used doctors for years, I've not used medicine for years. And the more I use these frequencies, the gentler and softer I feel as a person. I truly do. I feel more gentle and more soft, more tender and less reactive to everything because there's nothing to defend anymore. Even we were speaking earlier, even when somebody says to me, "Oh, but that's all very spiritual woo," and I think I said to you, I was like, I don't react to anybody who's speaking to me like that anymore. But one of the things I do ask them is say, just maybe take a few moments if you would, either now or later, and try and remember what you were before you jumped into an old body. Let
Yeah.
me know when you get that, and we'll have a conversation because I think we're afraid of that because I can see a body. And for most people, spirit is invisible.
Yeah.
It's an energy. If you close your eyes now and put your hands out and your two hands, the palms of your hands are facing each other, I can feel the energy
Yeah.
between the two hands. And it's a
Yeah.
massive feeling and it's
Yeah.
almost feeling like there's a circumference. And yet if you look at it and open your eyes, you're like, well, I don't see a physical form, ball, circumference, but I'm feeling it. And that's really, to me, what spirit is. It's shapeless, formless, doesn't have a name. It doesn't need a form.
No.
But it needs to be felt, because it moves us through our humanness into the form that we originally were before we took a body. And to have courage to embrace that, because there's something very special that no words could convey, the peace and gentleness that's in that, you know. And I really truly wish that for everybody in their own way to find their way back to that, because then you leave the mind.
Yes.
You drop out of the mind. Although the mind is saying, I'm this, that, and the other, and I've got this going on, and I've got that. Once you drop from that back into the connection in the spirit and your heart, you don't feel the same way. You don't feel the same discomforts to the degree you did when you're in your mind. The mind literally is like ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, you know, but the bridge from the mind to the heart, like a beautiful golden bridge, boy, what a difference. And I think music really makes the bridges glow in humans. That's why we all need music, you know, in our lives.
Yes.
Because it keeps that connection. It takes us from our minds to our hearts. You know, even if we don't want to remember somebody we lost, within a second, the tune will take you from your mind all the way into your heart, to any little piece that you felt you didn't do good enough in, for you to have a little cry about it and to feel the feeling that you had towards that person. But I think for me, the greatest part is now I know I'm inseparable from spirit. So even when my granddaughter would ask me when I would die, what would it be like, Gran? She said, will it be like the mountains, but you just won't have eyes? And I didn't question her vision. I said, just like the mountains, Gigi. Probably not with eyes, but like the mountain. And then she said, but like the bird, like you're like Mother Nature, Gran. Yeah. I said, just like Mother Nature. And that's just it. I think I grew up thinking, always loved nature, always, because I grew up beside Phoenix Park in Dublin. And I always felt nature was my solace. It gave me such comfort. But I always felt this loneliness, like I wasn't fully connected. Now I know I'm inseparable from all of these energies. My mindset doesn't believe anymore there's a division between the two. I think westernized medicine and living has taught us that we're all separate parts. We're not. We're actually not. Why is it a must? We are not. And if COVID didn't show us that, we were, for the very first time, as far as I ever remember, we were all conscious of each other around the world in a new way. We were one world of people going through an experience with it. And the numbers, if I didn't watch the numbers, but I know people were very conscious of them, it was also another way to know you were a number in the number of the world. We were all in together, and we are still all in it together. The only thing that separates us is how our minds are thinking about it, if it disconnects from spirit. But there's such a great peace to know we're inseparable. We're inseparable.
And we are all,
even if we need to go different ways at times, you know.
And we're all here for a reason at this time. And we're all here to connect and help the younger. What I'm noticing, I don't know if you're noticing it, I'm noticing it's our age group that are here helping and encouraging the younger generation. And it's as if the tools and life skills that we were brought up with have gone from the younger generation. I would say from 40 down. And our job is to actually reintroduce them to the younger generation now.
Yeah, I think there's a level of consciousness. And if you work at this age in my life, my consciousness has shifted. So I'm able to give something in a conscious level that's different than I was able to give before.
Yeah.
And I'm able to keep a joy and a lightness into my children's lives, not just passing down past heritage, that something even more, that there had to be a transformation in our consciousness to being very conscious beings, being totally here and now. and not distracted. If children experience that, younger people experience that more and more and more, this here and now experience, there it totally eliminates the speed of which everything is moving at.
Yeah.
There becomes no time.
No time. But
And
just
that's the only time I'm interested in, is no time, you know?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm on time for things. I've always been on time, an on time person. But there's time when you're really in that moment. It's timeless. And that's really, again, is the true form of spirit, is
Yeah.
timeless. It didn't
Yeah.
come with a clock. Only the human world created that for whatever reasons we need it for. But ultimately, that beautiful feeling of timelessness, I mean,
And
it's
nature,
just an
even time,
agelessness, all of it.
time and nature. You know, I think that's when you think about how timing of nature and the different seasons, I think that is the most,
Yes,
the
yeah,
time instead of the time of the clock or the time of the calendar.
yeah,
But I certainly
yeah.
know that when I listen to your music, that I am connected to that timelessness, Tanya.
That's
And
beautiful.
and I know if I'm feeling it, just like you're saying, where you're living in the East Coast, if it's in Pennsylvania, where you're living, where you
Hmm.
did your groups and your retreats, that I know that they
Hmm.
must be feeling what I'm feeling, and anyone connecting to your Instagram
Yeah.
account must be feeling it too. So thank you
Hmm.
so much
Hmm.
for that. You know,
Thank
that is
you.
that is the gift of what the spirit have given you to actually help heal the world that we're living in now. So
Yeah,
thank you so much
yeah.
for that, because music certainly does change my emotional state and change my
Ah,
and my
that's so good.
actions and behaviors. And then therefore it changes
Yeah.
my outcomes. So from uh, my heart, I'm sending you lots of gold energy and color and silver and gold and all the different colors. I'm sending that to you
Oh,
and gratitude and thanking you for that. And you know, it was through the COVID lockdown years that I linked up and connected with you via
yeah,
Instagram.
yeah.
So thank you. So Tanya, I'm just wondering, would you like to sing us out on a song? And before while you're getting ready, I'll thank you for taking the time to come on to Confident Women Island and speaking to us and sharing us your voice and your gift, your knowledge, your wisdom with us, because it's certainly my friend Vicky, who lived in Texas. When I met her in Saudi, she used to say, when you have something of value to say, people will listen. And I'm certain that when you
Yeah.
share your wisdom, people certainly do listen, as well as what they listen to your music as well. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much. It's such a
Thank
gem.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So would you
Thank
like to
you.
sing it off now when you're ready?
I would. I'd like to sing something I did for my mother and father, and maybe it will help some people here in the world, because I definitely had a tough journey as a child. And through all the work that I did, and then discovering I could be really grateful for them, because it caused me to have to do the work that I did, and it's caused me to sing the way that I am. So very grateful for who they are. So I'm going to try and sing that tune and see
Thank
if I can
you.
sing it without
Thank you.
crying.
Thank you.
Oh, God. Is Kyoma Cree. Canary on bow, canary on bow, I'll leave it at that.
Tanya
But
O'Connor.
it's just really a celebration of, no matter what trauma took place, I wish for the road to ride to meet them. Not only my mother, my father, my ancestors, and everybody else's, because from their courage to go through whatever they did without as many tools as we all have now. We have a toolbox now they didn't have. And we have people like you connecting other people, which I'm sure my mother didn't have. She was very lonely. So much gratitude for you, for
And,
all that you do.
and I have so much gratitude for you too, what you do for so many people. We are all just little parts of the jigsaw, building the big picture
Good.
to connect everybody together. And thank
Yeah.
you for that, Tanya.
You're
Thank
very
you.
welcome.
Thank you
The
so much.
irreplaceable jigsaw puzzles. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And
Thank
what
you.
I'll do is
Thank you.
I'll put your contact details and your Instagram in the description box below so people can contact you and also
Wonderful.
link up with you there. So Tanya O'Connor, thank
Wonderful.
you so much indeed for joining
You're
Confident
welcome.
Women Island today.